Many people walk into Aldi feeling like they are already saving money, but they often do not realize that some items get marked down so deeply they are almost being given away, then vanish quickly simply because you arrived a few hours too late. If you still shop at Aldi the same way every week, there is a good chance you are missing the biggest savings on the shelves simply because you do not know these discount secrets yet. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Quarter cart system. You walk into the parking lot at Aldi and realize you forgot to bring a quarter. In that moment, it feels like more than just a small inconvenience. It feels like you have just run into one of Aldi's very specific rules, one the supermarket has hardly changed for years. While shopping carts at many other grocery stores are always ready to grab, here each cart only unlocks when you insert your own quarter, and you only get it back when you return the cart to the proper spot yourself. That small detail is actually part of how Aldi keeps costs under extremely tight control. When shoppers take their own carts, return them themselves, and do not leave them scattered across the parking lot, the store almost never needs extra staff just to collect carts the way many larger retail chains do. That savings does not happen in a single day. It builds steadily across every shift, every store, and every week. That is why longtime Aldi shoppers almost always keep a quarter ready in the car, in their wallet, or attached directly to a keychain. For them, it is no longer about remembering or forgetting. It becomes an almost automatic habit if they do not want to lose momentum before shopping even begins. What many people do not notice is that regular shoppers often turn this into a small strategy. If they shop with family, they often return 2 carts at once so they can collect both quarters together. Aldi does not cater to laziness. It is built around real value. That quarter acts like a customer filter. It attracts practical shoppers, people who understand that a cart left in the middle of the parking lot is not just clutter. It is a hidden operating cost Aldi deliberately chooses not to add to shelf prices. 2. Aldi's golden shopping window. Wednesday morning in the US is not just an ordinary point in the middle of the week. It is when luck tends to favor smart shoppers at Aldi. If you walk into Aldi on a Saturday afternoon, there is a good chance you are only looking at shelves that have already been picked through after several straight days of shopping. But if you arrive on Wednesday morning, the feeling is completely different. Fresh pallets have just been opened, the Aldi Finds section still looks newly arranged, and many limited items are still fully stocked. So you can actually choose what you want instead of settling for what is left. The reason is that Aldi follows a very tight weekly promotion cycle, and Wednesday is when many new markdowns and featured offers begin appearing at the same time. Seasonal products, kitchen items, small household goods, limited edition products, and items currently getting attention online are often placed out that morning. For regular shoppers, this is the easiest time to clearly spot which items are truly worth buying before the best shelf spaces start emptying out just a few hours later. This is especially obvious in the Aldi Finds section, where one popular item, such as a small air fryer, an organizer set, a mini coffee maker, or seasonal decor, can disappear much faster than most people expect. It is not just household products either. Many longtime shoppers also prefer Wednesday morning because the fresh food section is usually restocked more evenly at that time. There is also a separate tip for shoppers whose goal is not finding new arrivals but finding the lowest possible price on items about to leave the shelves. Tuesday morning is often the time worth watching closely. Right before new products arrive on Wednesday, many employees begin reviewing leftover Aldi finds from the previous week and applying deep markdowns to clear space. That is when the last few remaining household items sometimes appear at prices low enough to make even casual shoppers stop and take a second look. 3. The middle aisle is where the strongest deals happen. If the food aisles on both sides give you the familiar feeling of a planned grocery trip, the middle aisle at Aldi creates a completely different rhythm. The place where many shoppers walk in planning to buy only milk and eggs, but end up spending the most time looking at items that were never on their original list. This is exactly the area many longtime shoppers consider the first section worth checking, because some of the strongest deals usually appear here before they ever start spreading across social media. The difference is that the middle aisle does not work like a regular shelf. The products placed here are usually limited-time special buys, selected by Aldi for specific seasons or short-selling periods. That means you might come across an Ambiano stand mixer with a polished design, eye-catching colors, and a price far lower than what you would expect the moment you first look at it. The products here do not look like low-priced items, yet the listed price is enough to make many shoppers stop longer just to check one more time. The scarcity in this area creates a very specific kind of buying pressure. Aldi rarely extends the shelf life of special buys. Once the quantity on the shelf runs out, that space is often replaced very quickly with a completely different product group. Today, it may be garden-line gardening tools. A few days later, it could already be food containers, seasonal blankets, or holiday decorations. Like the video if this surprised you. 4. Bring your own bags. There is a very specific moment at Aldi that often makes first-time shoppers pause for a second. After the cashier scans everything at remarkable speed, all the groceries are pushed to one side, and you are expected to carry them yourself to the bagging counter and organize them there. No one stands there waiting to bag for you, and there is no row of plastic bags already opened like at many other supermarkets. Yet this simple-looking area is exactly what many longtime shoppers see as one of the reasons their trip becomes noticeably more efficient. Aldi removes free bags and the bagging step not to create inconvenience, but to keep the entire system leaner and faster. When the cashier focuses only on scanning items at very high speed, the checkout line keeps moving continuously, and nearly all extra labor costs tied to bagging are removed from the store's normal operating model. What makes self-bagging genuinely useful is that you have complete control over how everything goes home. Regular shoppers almost never walk into Aldi without thick reusable bags, insulated bags, or a few sturdy cardboard boxes already prepared. They do not wait until checkout to figure it out. They usually already have a clear system. Cold items stay together to hold temperature longer, heavy boxes go on the bottom, and bread or eggs stay separately on top to avoid being crushed. That organization makes the biggest difference once the cart starts filling up. A bag packed correctly from the beginning means everything still arrives home intact. No milk pressing down on soft vegetables, and no frozen items mixed in with pantry goods. 5. Hunt deep clearance through yellow price tags. Unlike the bold markdown signs hanging across aisles at larger retail chains, Aldi often signals its deepest discounts in a much quieter but far more aggressive way. In a store with relatively limited floor space, every shelf must keep generating sales. So, when a new wave of Aldi finds is about to arrive on Wednesday morning, leftover items from the previous week quickly become an operational priority. The moment a small yellow tag appears on the shelf, regular shoppers immediately understand that item is entering its lowest price stage before being replaced. What makes Aldi different is that it does not gather clearance items into one dedicated markdown section the way Walmart or Target often do. The strongest markdowns usually stay right where the product originally sat, mixed in with items that still look like they are selling normally. That means if you push your cart too quickly, it is very easy to miss a genuinely strong deal right in front of you. That is also why experienced Aldi shoppers pay very close attention to handwritten yellow tags marked with marker. A mini coffee maker, a food storage set, a small pot, a handheld vacuum, or the last few remaining Aldi finds household items may still look completely ordinary on the shelf, but the price underneath has changed entirely. Those handwritten numbers on yellow paper are often direct store decisions made to move inventory as fast as possible. Serious deal hunters almost never look at the original price first when they spot a yellow tag, because they know they are looking at the best price that item will likely reach before it disappears from the store. 6. Aldi finds follow a seasonal return. Have you ever accidentally damaged something you bought from Aldi and then thought you had missed your chance to buy it again forever simply because you did not pick up a backup that day? That feeling is familiar to many longtime Aldi finds shoppers, because most products there always seem to appear quickly and disappear just as fast. But after watching long enough, regular shoppers begin to realize that Aldi is not as random as it looks. Behind those limited-time releases is a fairly clear seasonal cycle. Garden items usually return when the weather starts warming up. Hose sets, gardening gloves, planters, seeds, and pruning tools often appear right when people across the U.S. begin cleaning up their backyards and preparing for planting season. By late summer, the product rhythm usually shifts toward food containers, back-to-school items, and home organization products as shopping needs begin to change. The same pattern happens with kitchen items, decor, and many other seasonal categories. Shoppers who saw a mini air fryer, holiday candle sets, lightweight blankets, Organizers or storage containers one year will often find similar versions returning around the same time the following year, even if the colors, details, or packaging change slightly. Because they understand this cycle, longtime Aldi shoppers no longer react with panic every time they miss an item. They remember when it appeared, note the strongest selling season, and wait for the right time of year to check again. That becomes especially useful for products that are not truly urgent, because instead of rushing to buy out of fear that it will disappear, they know Aldi will very likely bring back a similar version when that season returns. 7. Twice as nice guarantee. Have you ever opened a food item you just bought at Aldi, realized the quality was not what you expected, and immediately felt disappointed because it seemed like that money was simply gone? At many stores, once a product has already been taken home, especially fresh food, returns can feel inconvenient or hardly worth the trip back. But at Aldi, that exact moment of disappointment is where one very unusual policy starts to matter: the twice as nice guarantee. What makes this policy different is that Aldi does not stop at simply refunding certain eligible private label items. In many cases, the store also allows customers to receive an equivalent replacement product at the same time. That means if the item you bought clearly has a quality issue, you may not only get your money back but also receive that same item again without paying extra. This is not simply a customer-friendly gesture. It is a commitment Aldi places on its own private label lines, which make up most of what fills the shelves. In many ways, the twice as nice guarantee is Aldi's way of saying it is willing to take direct responsibility when one of its products does not meet expected standards. That is why many longtime shoppers do not throw away their receipt right after getting home, especially when buying fresh food, dairy, or frozen items. They usually keep it for at least a short period, knowing that if a problem appears, that small receipt makes the process much faster. This policy also creates a more comfortable mindset when trying products you have never bought before. When shoppers know there is a clear way to resolve it if quality disappoints them, they are often more willing to try another Aldi private label item they might otherwise hesitate to buy. 8. Price scan errors. You are standing at checkout in Aldi. The cashier is scanning items so quickly that you barely have time to look closely at each one. And then a number appears that makes you pause. The bag of pistachios that just went through the rings up at $4.99, even though you clearly remember seeing $3.49 on the shelf. For many shoppers, that moment feels like a minor irritation. But for longtime Aldi shoppers, it is not something to ignore, because at Aldi, a small scanning difference can sometimes work in favor of shoppers who pay attention. Aldi operates at very high speed, so shelf label changes and system updates can occasionally fall out of sync for a short period. A product may already be marked down on the shelf while the register has not updated yet, and that situation is not uncommon, especially on major price change days or right after a restock. What matters is that Aldi usually does not treat this as a minor mistake. When an item scans higher than the posted shelf price, the store typically handles it directly. The correct lower price should be applied immediately, and in many locations, customers may also receive an adjustment under internal price error, handling policies once the mismatch is confirmed. That is why regular shoppers almost always glance at the checkout screen, especially when buying items they just saw with special markdown signs or yellow tags. They do not need to check every item, but for products carrying standout prices, remembering the shelf number is often enough to catch a difference right at checkout. A useful tip is to mention it before leaving the register if you suspect a mismatch, because at that point the product is still in the checkout flow and easiest for staff to verify. In some states and at certain store locations, you may even have the right to receive that item completely free. 9. Shelf height reveals pricing strategy. When shoppers enter Aldi, their eyes naturally stop at the middle shelf level, the place where brightly colored cereal boxes, attractive pasta sauce jars, and eye-catching snack packaging sit directly at eye level. It feels natural, but in retail, that is rarely accidental. The easier an item is to see, the more likely it is to be picked up quickly without extra comparison. Even though Aldi does not operate exactly like many traditional U.S. supermarket chains that sell premium shelf placement to major brands, it still clearly follows one retail principle. Eye level is where money moves fastest. Products placed directly at eye level are often items with packaging that feels more appealing, consistent quality, and better profit margins for the store. What experienced shoppers often do is avoid making their decision only from the middle shelf. They look lower or higher before choosing, because at Aldi, a small difference in shelf position can sometimes mean a price difference large enough to matter. A pasta package on the lower shelf may cost less than the version placed at eye level simply because the packaging is more basic, even though the actual use is nearly the same. The same pattern appears with canned goods, baking ingredients, cereal, and many pantry staples. Lower shelves are often where the most budget-friendly choices appear. Less attractive packaging and less premium looking are exactly the kind of products careful shoppers often prioritize. Higher shelves, meanwhile, sometimes hold products that move more slowly and reward shoppers willing to spend a few extra seconds comparing. That is why many longtime Aldi shoppers rarely choose the first item their eyes land on. 10. Aldi's business model. While many supermarkets across the US try to create a sense of abundance with long aisles, bright lighting, and dozens of choices for the same product, Aldi creates almost the opposite experience. You walk in and immediately notice fewer choices, but everything moves with a much faster and more decisive rhythm. There are no dozens of ketchup brands lined up side by side, no entire wall of cereal stretching across an aisle, and rarely do you spend several minutes choosing between too many brands. A standard Aldi store carries only a little over 1,000 core items, far fewer than a traditional supermarket model. That is not a limitation. It is how Aldi controls operating costs from the ground up. With fewer SKUs, inventory turns faster, restocking becomes simpler, and employees handle every part of the system more efficiently, from shelf stocking to inventory checks. That is why many Aldi products are built around one strong option instead of multiple overlapping tiers. One pasta sauce choice, a few yogurt lines, one core frozen section. Everything is kept at a level designed to sell quickly rather than create excess choice. This also explains why Aldi shoppers often move through the store differently. They enter with a clearer list, spend less time hesitating between brands, and usually finish filling their cart much faster. 11. The Exquisite Collection Wine Line. You are preparing for a dinner with guests and standing in front of the wine section with a familiar thought. If you want the table to look polished, the bottle probably needs to feel safely priced. But one thing many longtime Aldi employees often mention to regular shoppers is that the bottles sitting quietly under labels like Exquisite Collection or Specially Selected are often the ones customers come back for after trying them once. Many of these bottles are sourced from familiar wine-producing regions such as France, Italy, Spain, or Argentina, places already known for long-established wine quality. So even though prices at Aldi often stay around $8 to $12, the actual drinking experience often delivers balance and depth far beyond what many first-time buyers expect. What many shoppers do not realize is that some bottles in the Exquisite Collection and Specially Selected lines have appeared in international wine competitions and received awards, including recognition from the International Wine and Spirit Competition, which has made these lower-priced wines even more noticeable among practical shoppers. Many returning customers do not shop this section for flashy branding. They come back because after a few tries, they realize some bottles are genuinely good enough for small gatherings, weekend dinners, or bringing along when they want something presentable while still keeping the budget under control. Employees at Aldi often reveal that whenever a new wine from this collection arrives, they are usually among the first to buy it because they understand the real value behind that simple label. Aldi keeps prices low through private label sourcing and high-volume distribution, so extra cost is not inflated by brand advertising. That is exactly why many bottles here become the kind of choice shoppers appreciate more the better they understand how Aldi works. Shopping efficiently at Aldi is not about buying more. It is about knowing exactly when to stop at a shelf, look one level lower, or recognize that a small yellow tag may be worth more than your original shopping list. Once you understand how Aldi operates, every trip becomes not only more affordable, but also feels like you are making smarter decisions each time you push your cart back into the parking lot. Which secret in this video surprised you the most? In just 1 week, the shelves at Aldi have changed more than you might expect. Several completely new products have just appeared, and experienced shoppers have already grabbed a few before they have a chance to become hard to find. This list is especially interesting for older shoppers who want to enjoy good food while still keeping their grocery budget under control. Watch until the end, and you'll understand why so many people are quietly filling their carts with these new arrivals. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Specially selected aged Gouda cheese. If you enjoy cheeses with a richer, deeper flavor, the new item that just appeared in Aldi's specialty cheese section this week is definitely worth trying. The specially selected aged Gouda is currently selling for about $3.99 for an 8-ounce wedge, while similarly aged Gouda at many supermarkets typically cost between $8 and $12. That means you're paying less than half the usual price for a premium cheese. What makes aged Gouda special is the aging process, which typically lasts at least 12 months. During that time, small crunchy protein crystals begin to form inside the cheese. Cheese lovers often see these crystals as a sign that the cheese has been aged properly. The flavor becomes deeper as well, slightly creamy, slightly sweet, with a gentle caramel-like note that younger Gouda simply doesn't have. One cheese enthusiast in the Aldi shopping community once shared that they normally had to buy aged Gouda from specialty cheese shops for close to $18 per pound. But when they tried Aldi's version, they were surprised to find the flavor very similar while the price was nearly half as much. After the first taste, they went back and picked up a few extra wedges to keep at home. This cheese is also very versatile for everyday meals. You can slice it thinly and serve it with crackers, add it to salads, or grate it over hot pasta to bring extra richness and flavor. Even a small amount can make an entire dish more satisfying. However, there's one important detail to remember. This is an Aldi find, which means it's only available for a limited time. Once the current batch sells out, it may disappear from the shelves for weeks or even months. So if you spot it during your Aldi trip this week, you might want to grab 2 or 3 wedges to enjoy before it's gone. 2. Specially selected Argentine red shrimp. This is the moment you may want to take a closer look at Aldi's frozen seafood section, because a new item that appeared this week could easily catch your attention. Specially selected Argentine red shrimp is currently selling for about $7.99 for a 12-ounce bag, while wild-caught shrimp of similar quality at many supermarkets often costs $14 to $15. The price alone has already convinced many longtime Aldi shoppers to pick up more than one bag to keep in the freezer. These shrimp are wild-caught in the cold waters off the coast of Argentina, then frozen right on the boat to preserve their freshness. Because of this process, the shrimp usually have a firmer texture and a naturally sweeter flavor compared with many farm-raised varieties. One home cook in the Aldi shopping community shared that they usually buy wild-caught shrimp at specialty grocery stores for nearly $18 per pound. After trying Aldi's version, they said the sweetness and firmness were very similar, which led them to stock up on a few extra bags for the freezer. Another reason many people like this shrimp is how easy it is to cook. You can quickly sauté it with butter and garlic, add it to pasta, or use it to make seafood tacos for a fast but satisfying meal. For many older shoppers who want something light but still rich in protein, shrimp can also be a very practical option. And like many special items at Aldi, Argentine red shrimp is also an Aldi find. With a price and quality like this, it can sell out quickly, and there's no guarantee it will return soon. If you see it during your Aldi trip this week, it may be a good idea to pick up a couple of bags for your freezer. 3. Park Street Deli Tzatziki Sauce. Another new product appearing in Aldi's refrigerated section this week has caught the attention of many shoppers. Park Street Deli Tzatziki Sauce. This classic Greek-style sauce is made with yogurt, cucumber, garlic, and dill, and is commonly used in Mediterranean dishes. At Aldi, the 12-ounce container costs about $2.99, while similar tzatziki sauces at many other supermarkets usually sell for $5.99 to $6.99 for the same size. One thing that stands out is its simple ingredient list, featuring familiar items like Greek yogurt, cucumber, garlic, olive oil, and lemon juice instead of a long list of hard-to-pronounce additives. Because of that, the flavor comes surprisingly close to homemade tzatziki. Creamy from the yogurt, garlicky, and fresh from the cucumber. A shopper in the Aldi fans community once shared that, after trying Aldi's version, they felt the thickness and flavor were almost the same as homemade tzatziki. Another appealing detail is how versatile this sauce can be in everyday meals. You can use it as a dip for vegetables or pita chips, spread it on sandwiches, serve it with grilled meats, or add it to Mediterranean-style grain bowls. With a price under $3 and a fresh, balanced flavor, this is the kind of product many shoppers like to keep stocked in their refrigerator. And after trying it once, many people realize that sometimes a simple sauce can make a familiar meal feel completely new again. 4. Simply Nature Organic Granola Bars. In the snack aisle this week, Aldi has added an interesting option for anyone who wants something quick, convenient, and still relatively healthy. Simply Nature Organic Granola Bars. Each box contains 10 bars for about $3.99, while similar organic granola bars at many supermarkets usually cost between $5.99 and $7.99. That means simply switching to Aldi could save you around 30 to 50% on a snack many households buy regularly. Instead of corn syrup or artificial flavorings, the ingredient list includes familiar items like organic oats, peanut butter, honey, and organic brown rice. When you eat one, the bar has a soft texture with a slight chew and a naturally mild sweetness, rather than the candy-like taste that some packaged snack bars have. One parent in the Aldi shopping community shared that their family used to buy organic granola bars at Target for nearly $7 per box, and their kids could easily finish 2 boxes every week. After switching to Aldi's Simply Nature version, they calculated that they were saving over $300 a year on snacks alone. Granola bars are also incredibly convenient in everyday life. You can keep a few in your bag when heading out, store some in the car for a quick bite when you get hungry, or pair one with your morning coffee when you don't have time for a full breakfast. For older adults who prefer a light snack between meals without feeling too full, this can also be a very practical option. 5. Specially Selected Triple Cream Brie. If you enjoy cheeses that are soft, rich, and a little more indulgent, the new item appearing in Aldi's specialty cheese section this week might be an easy choice for you. The Specially Selected Triple Cream Brie is currently selling for about $4.99 for an 8-ounce wheel, while similar brie cheeses at many supermarkets usually range from $9 to $12. What makes Triple Cream Brie different is its higher fat content compared with regular brie. Because of that, when the cheese is brought to room temperature, the interior becomes incredibly soft, smooth, and almost melts gently over crackers or bread. The flavor is rich and buttery, with a subtle earthy aroma from the white rind, very similar to the kinds of cheeses you might find at specialty cheese shops. This cheese is also easy to use in many simple meals. You can let it soften at room temperature and serve it with crackers, fruit, or honey, or warm it in the oven for a few minutes until the center becomes creamy, and then top it with nuts or jam. Even a small wheel can instantly make a snack plate feel much more special. And like many specialty items that appear at Aldi from time to time, cheeses like this usually don't stay on the shelves for very long. Like the video if this surprised you. 6. Elevation Dark Chocolate-Covered Almonds. There's a type of snack that many people buy again and again without thinking twice: dark chocolate-covered almonds. And this week, Aldi has added a noteworthy option to the snack aisle: Elevation Dark Chocolate-Covered Almonds. A large 24-ounce container costs just $5.99, while similar products at many supermarkets typically range from $10 to $12 for the same size. That's nearly half the price for a very popular snack. One reason people enjoy this product is its pleasant balance of flavors. The dark chocolate has a slightly bitter note and isn't overly sweet like milk chocolate. When paired with the crunchy roasted almonds inside, it creates a snack that feels satisfying without being overwhelming. The chocolate coating is thick enough for you to taste the cocoa clearly, but not so heavy that it overpowers the almonds. One regular shopper in the Aldi community shared that they used to buy a similar snack at Trader Joe's for nearly $11 per container, but after trying Aldi's version, they felt the quality was nearly the same. Since then, they've switched to buying this one for their everyday snacks. Besides being easy to enjoy, dark chocolate-covered almonds also have a small advantage nutritionally. Each serving provides protein from the almonds and healthy fats, which can help you feel fuller longer compared with many sugary snacks. That's why many people like to keep a container in the kitchen for an afternoon snack or bring some along on longer trips. 7. Fremont Fish Market Frozen Mahi-Mahi. If you've ever wanted to eat fish more often but worry about strong seafood flavors or high prices, the new item appearing in Aldi's freezer section this week may be worth a closer look. Fremont Fish Market's Mahi Mahi is currently selling for about $8.99 for a bag of 4 fillets, with each piece individually vacuum sealed. At many seafood counters, Mahi Mahi typically sells for $13 to $17 per pound. So this price has convinced many shoppers to give it a try. One reason Mahi Mahi is so popular is its mild flavor and firm texture. It doesn't have the strong, fishy smell that some ocean fish do. When pan-seared or grilled, the fillets hold their thickness and structure very well, which makes them perfect for dishes like fish tacos, garlic lemon grilled fish, or simple pan-seared fillets served with vegetables. Some people hesitate to buy frozen fish because they worry it won't taste fresh. But many shoppers say this Mahi Mahi can be surprisingly close in texture and flavor to fresh fish purchased at seafood counters, often at a much higher price. For anyone trying to eat a little lighter, Mahi Mahi is also a practical option. It's rich in protein and omega-3s, yet its mild taste makes it approachable, even for people who don't usually eat much seafood. 8. Simply Nature Organic Marinara Sauce. Sometimes having a good jar of sauce in your pantry is all it takes to make dinner much easier. And this week, Aldi has added a noteworthy option to its shelves: Simply Nature Organic Marinara Sauce. Each 25-ounce jar costs about $2.49, while many organic marinara sauces at supermarkets typically range from $5 to $7 for a similar size. That means you're paying less than half the usual price for a sauce made with solid ingredients. What surprises many shoppers is the very short ingredient list. This sauce contains only organic tomatoes, organic olive oil, onion, garlic, and basil. There's no corn syrup or complicated flavor additives. When cooked with pasta, the tomato flavor is rich, slightly naturally sweet, and complemented by a gentle garlic aroma, making it taste closer to a homemade sauce than a typical jarred product. One person who regularly meal preps for the week shared that they use about 2 jars of marinara each week for dishes like pasta and lasagna. Previously, they bought organic marinara at the supermarket for nearly $6.99 per jar. But after switching to Aldi's version, they estimated they could save more than $400 a year just on pasta sauce. It's also an incredibly versatile ingredient in the kitchen. You can use it for spaghetti, lasagna, pizza, chicken parmesan, or simply warm it up as a dipping sauce for toasted bread. According to feedback from many Aldi shoppers, most people like to keep a few jars of marinara stocked in the pantry at all times. 9. Simply Nature Organic Chicken Sausage. If you're looking for a quick and easy protein option for breakfast or a light dinner, Aldi has introduced a new item this week: Simply Nature Organic Chicken Sausage. Each package includes 4 sausages for about $4.99, while organic chicken sausage at many supermarkets typically costs between $7 and $9 for a similar pack. That price alone has already caught the attention of many regular Aldi shoppers. With quality ingredients and a variety of flavors, this sausage is worth trying in this new release. Aldi offers options such as apple maple, spinach feta, and sun-dried tomato, allowing you to switch things up from meal to meal. When grilled or pan-seared, the outside develops a light golden crust while the inside stays tender, with the natural sweetness of the chicken coming through. One shopper in the Aldi fans community once shared that they used to buy organic chicken sausage at Whole Foods for nearly $8 per pack, and their family went through about 3 packs each week for breakfast. After switching to Aldi's version, they estimated they could save over $200 a year just by changing this one product. Besides being a relatively lean source of protein, chicken sausage also tends to feel lighter than traditional pork sausage. Many older adults enjoy it as a quick breakfast option. Just a few minutes of cooking can turn it into a satisfying meal. And when an organic product appears on Aldi's shelves at such an accessible price, it's no surprise that many shoppers quickly add it to their grocery list for the week ahead. 10. Elevation Organic Trail Mix. Continuing with another new item in the snack aisle this week, there's a container that has been catching quite a few shoppers' attention because it already looks different from typical trail mix at first glance. Elevation Organic Trail Mix comes in a large 26-ounce container priced at about $6.99, while organic trail mixes of the same size at many supermarkets usually range from $12 to $15. The nut ratio is surprisingly generous. Instead of being mostly peanuts and raisins like many common snack mixes, this one includes cashews, almonds, walnuts, pecans, dried cranberries, and pieces of dark chocolate. Every handful tends to contain a good mix of ingredients, so the flavor feels varied and satisfying rather than repetitive. One person who often brings trail mix on long hiking trips shared that after trying Aldi's version, they found the nut quality and freshness nearly comparable to more expensive brands, while their monthly snack spending dropped by almost half. Trail mix is also a popular snack because it provides protein, healthy fats, and fiber, meaning even a small handful can keep you feeling full for quite a while. Many people like to keep a container in the kitchen, take some along on long drives, or portion it into smaller bags for quick snacks throughout the day. 11. Lovin' Fresh Keto Bread. For several years, this has been one of the products Aldi shoppers talk about quite often. Keto bread that actually tastes like real bread but doesn't cost a fortune. And this week, Lovin' Fresh Keto Bread has finally appeared on the shelves at about $3.99 per loaf. If you've ever looked for keto bread at other supermarkets, you probably know that similar products usually cost between $7 and $10 per loaf. One reason this bread gets so much attention is its extremely low carbohydrate content. Each slice contains almost no net carbs, thanks to ingredients like wheat protein, isolate, and oat fiber. This allows people following keto, low-carb, or blood sugar-conscious diets to enjoy sandwiches without worrying too much about carbohydrate intake. But low carbs and a low price wouldn't matter much if the bread didn't taste good. Some shoppers have tried toasting slices with butter and shared that the texture feels very similar to regular wheat bread, just slightly denser. More importantly, it doesn't have the dry or crumbly texture that many keto breads tend to have. One older shopper in the Aldi community once said they used to order keto bread online for nearly $10 per loaf plus shipping, just to manage their sugar intake. When Aldi started selling this loaf for $3.99, they calculated that they could save over $300 a year on bread alone. 12. Friendly Farms Protein Shakes. If you stopped by the refrigerated drink section at Aldi this week, you may have noticed a new product that's quite convenient for busy days. Friendly Farms Protein Shakes. Each pack includes 4 11-ounce bottles for about $4.99, while many protein shakes at supermarkets or nutrition stores usually cost between $7 and $9 for the same quantity. The nutrition profile is also quite solid for a ready-to-drink option. Each bottle provides about 30 grams of protein, only 1 gram of sugar, and roughly 160 calories. For people who need a quick protein boost during the day, especially older adults looking to maintain muscle mass, this can be a practical choice. Flavor is another factor many people care about when it comes to protein shakes. Some shoppers who tried the chocolate flavor shared that the texture is smooth and slightly creamy, without the powdery or chalky aftertaste that often comes with many pre-mixed protein drinks. You can drink it cold straight from the bottle or blend it with ice and fruit to make a quick smoothie. For anyone looking for a fast, convenient, and reasonably priced protein option, this product could easily become a regular item in the fridge. Just open the bottle, and it's ready to go. A simple solution for a rushed breakfast, after a workout, or anytime you need a quick but satisfying snack. 13. Specially selected tiramisu. This week, in Aldi's dessert section, there's a sweet treat that has been making quite a few shoppers pause in front of the refrigerated case. Specially selected tiramisu. The 17.6-ounce package costs only $4.99, while similar tiramisu desserts at supermarkets usually sell for $8 to $10, and bakery versions can easily reach $13 to $16. So when an Italian-style dessert appears at this price, it's no surprise that many shoppers are curious to give it a try. The appeal of tiramisu comes from its classic layered structure. At the bottom are ladyfinger biscuits soaked in espresso, topped with a smooth mascarpone cream layer, and finished with a light dusting of bitter cocoa powder. When you take a bite, the slightly bold coffee flavor blends with the rich cream, creating a balanced dessert that isn't overly sweet but still feels indulgent. Many customers who have tried Aldi's version say that the texture and flavor come surprisingly close to bakery-style tiramisu, which is why some now keep a box in the fridge for when they want a quick dessert. It's also easy to turn this cake into a more elegant dessert when serving guests. You can cut it into smaller portions, Add a few fresh strawberry slices or sprinkle a little extra cocoa powder on top, and it instantly feels like a restaurant-style dessert. In just 1 week, Aldi has added quite a few new products worth trying, with solid quality and prices that are often much lower than what you'd find at other supermarkets. Some of these items appear only for a limited time, which means they can sell out quickly. So if you stop by Aldi this week, you might want to take a closer look, because a few items on this list could easily end up filling your cart before you even realize it. Which new item will you be hunting for on your Aldi trip this week? Did you know that 2026 is Aldi's biggest breakout year in the US? It's not just about the 50th anniversary. Aldi is quietly reshaping how Americans shop. From electronic shelf labels that can interact with you, to silent clearance drops of up to 75% at specific times only employees know about. Let's dive into the most exclusive shopping insights of 2026, where every dollar you spend can deliver double the value in ways you may have never realized before. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. The heart fan favorite icon on price tags. Have you ever paused in front of an item with a small heart icon labeled fan favorite on Aldi's digital price tag? At first glance, it's easy to overlook, but starting in 2026, this has become one of the most valuable signals in the entire shopping experience. And most importantly, it's not a marketing gimmick. This icon doesn't come from suppliers. Aldi assigns it based on real sales data combined with feedback from a community of over 3.8 million Facebook members. That means every product with the heart icon has passed a very clear, silent test. It sells quickly, gets repurchased frequently, and maintains consistent customer satisfaction over time. There's no guesswork or visual merchandising tricks. Everything is driven by real consumer behavior. In practice, when a product has been purchased by millions of people and repeatedly chosen again, your risk in picking it is almost zero. In a store with only around 1,400 items, decision-making may seem simple, but it's often influenced by low prices or eye-catching packaging. This icon helps you skip the trial and error process and narrow your decision down to just a few seconds. What's especially notable is that in Aldi's new store formats for 2026, the fan favorite icon isn't just printed on paper tags. It's fully integrated into electronic shelf labels, ESLs, where it can appear prominently or even subtly glow as you approach. For shoppers moving quickly or sticking to a list during peak hours, this becomes an incredibly effective visual cue. More importantly, this icon creates a clear decision-making shortcut. Instead of comparing products one by one, you're leveraging the outcome of millions of prior purchase decisions. In a retail environment where most items are private label, this is how Aldi turns relatively unknown products into instantly trustworthy choices. 2. The hidden manufacturers behind Aldi's private labels. Have you ever wondered why some products at Aldi look very basic, are priced significantly lower, yet deliver quality that rivals major brands when you actually try them? The answer isn't in the packaging or shelf display. It lies in a layer of information Aldi rarely reveals. After its 2026 restructuring, Aldi streamlined its private label system from over 90 brands down to around 26. Everything appears simpler and more organized. But at the same time, something even more interesting starts to emerge. Behind those familiar shelf names, the actual manufacturing sources are kept more discreet than ever. If you've ever picked up a pack of Bremer meatballs at Aldi and assumed it was just another cheap generic product, there's a detail most shoppers don't know. In early 2026, a product recall unintentionally revealed the manufacturer behind Bremer meatballs. It wasn't an unknown factory, but Rosina Food Products Inc., Russian, a large-scale Italian food producer in the US that supplies both restaurant chains and premium retail brands. This completely changes how you view the product. You're essentially buying from the same supply source as higher-priced brands. The only difference is the absence of a recognizable logo on the front. That explains why, when comparing taste and texture side by side, many people can barely tell the difference from more expensive branded options. This model doesn't apply only to Bremer. In the baby product category, the Little Journey line is produced by First Quality LLC, the company behind the Cuties diaper brand. Along with Perigo, a major manufacturer of infant formula for large retailers like Walmart and Costco. In other words, you're getting the same supply source, just under a different label. 3. Symbols on electronic shelf labels. If you've ever stood in front of an Aldi shelf and noticed something off about the electronic price tags, you're not imagining it. Starting in 2026, Aldi has transitioned almost entirely to digital shelf labels, and what most shoppers overlook is that the small symbols in the corner often carry far more value than the price itself. The three most common symbols are D, U, and S. They may look simple, but they function as an internal language that lets you read a product's real-time status right there at the shelf. The D symbol usually appears at the top corner of the label. It indicates that the product is at the end of its life cycle. In simple terms, it won't be restocked. This explains why some items you see today completely disappear just days later. For experienced shoppers, this is a clear signal to act immediately. There's almost no chance of a second opportunity. The U symbol means the product is temporarily unavailable due to a supply disruption. It hasn't been discontinued, it just hasn't been restocked yet. The key insight here is timing. When this symbol disappears, it typically signals that the item has returned and may sell out quickly again, especially for high-demand products. The S symbol is used for seasonal items. These products appear during specific times of the year, such as summer grilling supplies or holiday baking ingredients. The important detail is that they are not stocked year-round, so if you miss the window, you'll have to wait until the next season. In Aldi's newer store formats, these symbols are no longer static. They're fully integrated into ESL systems that update in real time, allowing staff to adjust pricing and product status almost instantly. This creates a major advantage for shoppers. You don't need to ask employees or guess, just glance at that small corner of the price tag, and you can understand almost the entire story behind the product. 4. The Aldi Finds Clearance Cycle. There's a pattern that most Aldi shoppers sense, but very few truly understand. You spot an item in the Aldi Finds section, hesitate for a few days, come back, and the price has dropped. But it's not random. Behind the scenes is a cycle that operates on a fairly fixed weekly rhythm. Every product in the treasure aisle starts the same way. In its first week on the shelf, the price stays unchanged. This is when Aldi measures customer demand. If the item sells well, it disappears quickly, no discount needed. But if inventory remains after about 4 weeks, something shifts. The price is typically reduced by around 30% to encourage faster movement. What's important is that the process doesn't stop there. If the product is still unsold after 6 weeks, discounts can reach up to 75%. This is when items that originally cost dozens of dollars suddenly become unbelievable deals, and why many shoppers only visit Aldi to hunt clearance instead of buying right away. The most critical timing usually falls on Wednesday mornings. That's when new Aldi finds hit the shelves. At the same time, leftover items from previous cycles are pushed into deeper markdowns to make room. You'll often see steep discounts appear alongside brand new arrivals, creating a mix of deal hunting and discovery in one trip. And of course, this cycle isn't publicly advertised. Aldi doesn't put up big clearance signs or run loud promotions. Everything happens quietly, and only those who pay close attention over time recognize the pattern. That's what makes the experience feel like a game. You can buy when you need to, or wait for the right moment to maximize value. 5. The silence that's worth millions. Have you ever noticed that when you walk into Aldi, you don't hear upbeat pop music or overhead announcements like you would at Walmart or Kroger? That's not sluchinist. It's a deliberate part of how Aldi operates to keep prices low. Aldi follows what many call a silent store model. It removes almost all the typical distractions found in traditional supermarkets. There's no all-day music system, no constant shelf rearranging designed to trigger impulse buying, and no loud in-store promotional campaigns. Sound systems, advertising content, staffing, these are all hidden costs. By eliminating them, Aldi significantly reduces its operating expenses each year. And those savings don't disappear. They're reflected directly in the prices you see on the shelf. This quiet environment doesn't just feel different, it changes how you shop. With fewer distractions, you stay focused on your list, complete your shopping faster, and leave sooner. That reduces pressure across the entire operation, from staff to checkout lines, helping keep costs as low as possible. In 2026, as inflation continues to push operating costs higher, this silence becomes a clear competitive advantage. By cutting unnecessary expenses, Aldi is still able to keep essential items like milk and eggs priced about 15% lower than competitors, even as the broader market continues to rise. 6. Scoring 50% off meat and bread. At Aldi, finding ribeye steaks or brioche loaves marked down by up to 50% isn't luck. It's the result of a tightly controlled operational process. And once you understand it, you can take advantage of it consistently. The key lies in how Aldi manages inventory. They operate on a minimal backstock model to avoid waste. Early each morning, around 6 a.m., before the store opens, staff begin checking expiration dates. Under internal policy, Aldi does not sell products on their expiration date. To clear shelf space for new deliveries arriving that day, they must apply red discount stickers, typically 50% off, to items that will expire the following day. That's why highly perishable items like fresh meat and bread, when they have only one day left, are immediately marked down by 50%. This isn't a promotion. It's a necessary step to make room for new stock. If you want to grab high-quality cuts of meat at half the price, show up right when the store opens, usually around 9 a.m. That's when the red stickers have just been applied and before experienced deal hunters clear them out. For bread and baked goods, the system works even better. These items are often discounted up to 4 days before their expiration date, giving you extra time to store them in the freezer while maintaining quality. 7. The deep discount secret before holidays. There's a specific time of year when, if you walk into Aldi, something feels off. The meat section is still full and the bread is still stocked, but prices are unusually low. There are no big sale signs and no loud promotions, yet discounts can reach 50% or even 75%. This doesn't happen randomly. It's tied to a unique operational rule. Aldi is one of the few grocery chains in the U.S. that fully closes on major holidays like Easter, Christmas, and New Year's Day. When the store isn't operating, they can't keep fresh items sitting for days. And that's when everything changes. On the evening before the holiday, the entire fresh food section is essentially cleared out. Meat, fresh pizza, bread, and other perishables are heavily discounted to sell through by the end of the day. This isn't about running a promotion. It's a necessity to prevent spoilage while the store is closed. The most critical window is typically between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's when staff begin aggressively applying markdown stickers across large sections. If you go earlier, the discounts may not be as deep, but if you arrive during this window, you'll see prices visibly drop right on the shelf. What sets this apart from everyday markdowns is the scale. While morning discounts are applied item by item, pre-holiday markdowns often hit nearly the entire fresh section at once. It creates a wave of discounts that's easy to miss if you don't know when to look. Regular Aldi shoppers don't wait for the holiday itself, they wait for the evening before, because they know this is when the store is under the most pressure to clear inventory fast, and when prices reach their lowest point in the entire cycle. Like the video, if this surprised you. 8. Using in-store mode and carrot tags on the Aldi app. There's a quiet shift happening in how people shop at Aldi, and many shoppers still aren't fully taking advantage of it. You no longer have to wander around looking for items or estimate your total as you push your cart. Starting this year, the Aldi app has evolved from a simple ordering tool into a true in-store shopping assistant. When you turn on in-store mode, the entire experience changes. With newer store formats expanding by about 20% in size, finding the exact location of products becomes more important than ever. The app can pinpoint the exact shelf location of items you've saved to your list, helping you go straight to what you need instead of wasting time searching. But the most interesting feature is carrot tags. As you approach a product you've previously marked, the electronic shelf label will subtly light up to call your attention. This isn't advertising, it's a direct signal between the app and the shelf. It allows you to instantly recognize the item, which is especially helpful during peak hours when everything looks similar and items are easy to miss. Another key advantage is real-time budget tracking. The app automatically calculates your total based on the actual in-store prices at your location. This completely removes the surprise of finding out your total at checkout. You know exactly how much you're spending before you pay, and you can adjust your cart on the spot. 9. The German Week Schedule. There's an Aldi event that many shoppers only discover when it's already too late. You walk into the store and suddenly see a lineup of unfamiliar items like pumpernickel bread, German-style sausages, or pretzels. But just a few days later, everything is gone. This isn't a test run. It's part of a very specific event known as German Week. What makes German Week unique is that it isn't heavily promoted in advance. Typically, information only appears about a week before it begins. But if you look at patterns from recent years, a clear trend emerges. The event usually launches on the last Wednesday of the month, aligning with Aldi's full refresh of the Aldi Find section. The event only lasts about 1 week, but inventory arrives in a highly concentrated wave. Products from the Deutsche Küche line, such as sausages, pretzels, and traditional breads, appear only a few times a year, often priced under $10. What's important to know is that these items are not continuously restocked. Inventory is released in batches, and once it sells out, there are no additional shipments during that cycle. When the event begins, the entire display area is transformed to match the theme, creating the feeling of a completely different store. This not only enhances the shopping experience, but also accelerates demand within a very short window. 10. The loss leader pricing strategy. Have you ever noticed how milk, eggs, or bananas at Aldi are priced so low it almost feels unbelievable and wondered how they still make a profit? The answer lies in a strategy that's rarely stated outright, yet it shapes nearly everything about how you spend money in the store. Aldi doesn't aim to profit from these essentials. In fact, they often sell them at break-even, or even at a loss. In retail, this is known as a loss leader strategy, pricing certain items extremely low to draw customers into the store. And once you're inside, your shopping behavior begins to shift. No one drives to a grocery store just to buy a gallon of milk and leave. Once you've picked up an item that feels like an incredible deal, you're more likely to add other products to your cart. A box of Benton's cookies, a Mama Cosie's pizza, or a few ready-to-eat convenience items. That's where Aldi actually generates profit. What's especially important is how this strategy influences your perception. When you see a loaf of Love and Fresh bread priced under $2, your brain automatically resets its price anchor for the entire store. You start assuming everything is cheaper, and as a result, you compare prices less when adding more items to your cart. Data from 2026 shows that about 1/3 of U.S. households now choose Aldi as their primary grocery store. And most of those decisions begin with basic items like milk, eggs, or bananas. These products act like a magnet, bringing customers back multiple times throughout the week. 11. The double guarantee policy. Would you be willing to try a completely unfamiliar product if you knew you had nothing to lose? That's exactly how Aldi makes its private label products more approachable than ever. Instead of spending millions on advertising, Aldi takes a more direct approach. They stand behind their double guarantee, also known as twice as nice. If you're not satisfied with any food product, you not only receive a full refund, you also get a replacement of the same item. In other words, you're compensated with double the value for a bad experience. What truly matters here isn't just the refund, it's the near elimination of risk. For many shoppers, especially when facing unfamiliar brands, the biggest barrier isn't price. It's uncertainty about quality. This policy directly addresses that concern. You don't need to trust the product before buying it, because even if you're not satisfied, you lose nothing. Psychologically, this is a powerful lever. When risk drops to zero, purchase decisions become much easier. You're more willing to try something new, and if the experience is good, you'll come back for it again without hesitation. Aldi doesn't rely on persuasion. They let the product experience speak for itself. In 2026, as Aldi continues to expand and refine its private label lines, this policy becomes even more critical. It serves as an unspoken promise that the product quality is strong enough for them to stand behind every customer outcome. 12. Price overrides at checkout. There's a moment right at the checkout at Aldi where, if you pay attention, you can actually change the price of the item you're holding. No coupons, no app, just the flexibility given to the cashier. Most shoppers assume that shelf prices are fixed. But for fresh food items, especially meat and bread, it's not always that simple. When a product is very close to its expiration date but hasn't yet been marked down, there's a small gap in the process that you can take advantage of. Aldi cashiers are authorized to adjust prices directly in the system under certain conditions. This typically doesn't apply to non-food items to prevent abuse, but for near-expiration food products, they can perform a price override right at checkout. The most common adjustment is around 50%, similar to the red discount stickers you usually see on shelves. The key is recognizing the situation. If you notice a pack of meat or a loaf of bread that's very close to its expiration date but hasn't been discounted yet, you can absolutely bring it up at checkout. The reason this works is quite practical. Aldi staff operate at high speed and handle a large workload, so not every product gets processed in time before hitting the shelf. By pointing out near-expiration items, you're actually helping them complete the process more efficiently. This creates a win-win situation. You get the product at a lower price, and the store reduces the risk of having to discard expired goods. It's not an officially advertised policy, but it exists as a flexible part of Aldi's day-to-day operations. At this point, you're no longer just grocery shopping. You're understanding how Aldi operates to control pricing. Make a list in advance, shop early in the morning or the evening before holidays, prioritize fan-favorite items, and don't miss the chance to ask about pricing at checkout. Apply just a few of these strategies, and every trip can lead to noticeable savings without sacrificing quality. Which secret in this video surprised you the most? There are certain cheeses at Aldi that look completely normal, even products many people buy every week without a second thought. Some are disguised as real cheese but are actually filled with fillers and additives. What's surprising is that right next to them are options that could genuinely help you manage your weight and improve digestion. Watch until the end of the video to find out whether you might be accidentally choosing one of the worst options. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. Warning: cheeses you should avoid. 8. Fat-free cheese. Happy Farms. Fat-free cheese may sound like a lifesaver for anyone trying to diet, but in reality, it often works in the opposite direction. When people hear fat-free, they immediately think fewer calories and better weight control. But once fat is removed from cheese, manufacturers have to replace it with something else to maintain texture. That's when the additive list starts to grow: modified starch, cellulose gel, and carrageenan. These ingredients help create stretch and a cheese-like consistency, but they don't provide meaningful nutritional value. The issue goes beyond additives. When natural fat is removed, you also lose the necessary medium for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and especially K2. These nutrients are essential for bone health, cardiovascular function, and immune support. Even if synthetic versions are added back in, absorption is not comparable to the natural form paired with fat. In addition, dietary fat plays a key role in triggering fullness signals in the brain. When you eat fat-free cheese, you may not feel truly satisfied and could end up eating more to compensate. As a result, your total daily calorie intake may actually be higher. 7. Shredded cheese blend. Many shoppers choose Happy Farms shredded cheese blend simply because it's convenient. Open the bag, sprinkle it on pizza or pasta, and you're done. But the cost of that convenience isn't just financial, it's also in the ingredient list. The reason pre-shredded cheese never clumps together in the bag is that it's coated with cellulose, essentially plant fiber powder, often derived from wood pulp or cotton. Legally, it's permitted for use, but in reality, you're paying the price of real cheese for a product that includes added anti-caking fillers. It doesn't stop there. Many varieties also contain natamycin, a mold inhibitor, and potassium sorbate, a preservative. Both are used to extend shelf life. Instead of selling truly fresh cheese, manufacturers rely on additives to maintain a stable appearance. What many people don't realize is that shredded cheese oxidizes faster. Once cheese is cut into smaller pieces, the surface area exposed to air increases, causing flavor to deteriorate more quickly and nutritional quality to decline sooner compared to a whole block of cheese. 6. Friendly Farms Whipped Cream Cheese Spread. Many people choose Friendly Farms Whipped Cream Cheese Spread because it seems lighter and easier to spread on bread. But in reality, it's a volume illusion. To create that airy, fluffy texture, Manufacturers inject nitrogen gas into the product. This makes the container look fuller, but the actual density of cheese is significantly lower than traditional block cream cheese. Put simply, you're paying for more volume. And a noticeable portion of that volume is air. The issue doesn't stop there. Once air is incorporated, stabilizers are needed to prevent the foam from collapsing and the product from separating. That's where carrageenan comes in. Carrageenan is a thickening agent derived from seaweed. It's legally approved for food use, but it remains highly controversial in the nutrition community. Some studies and observational reports suggest it may be linked to inflammatory responses in the gut, particularly in individuals with sensitive digestive systems. If this type of cream cheese appears on your breakfast every morning, your digestive system isn't just processing dairy and fat. It's also handling added gums and stabilizers. In contrast, traditional block cream cheese typically contains only a few basic ingredients: milk, cream, salt, and cultures. The core issue here isn't immediate toxicity, but nutrient density and level of processing. On one side, you have real cheese with natural fat and a dense, straightforward structure. On the other, you have a whipped product stabilized with additives to create a lighter feel. 5. Pub cheese spread. It may look elegant when placed next to crackers and wine at a party, but Emporium Selection Pub cheese spread resembles more of a food experiment than a true piece of cheese. Start with the ingredient list. Right after cheese, the next prominent ingredient is water. That means the product has been significantly diluted. Instead of selling properly aged cheddar, the manufacturer adds water to increase volume, then uses thickening agents to recreate a smooth texture. The additive list includes modified food starch, sodium phosphate, and sodium alginate. Modified starch creates thickness. Sodium phosphate acts as an emulsifier to maintain a uniform structure, and sodium alginate helps the product retain its smooth, spreadable consistency. Technically, all of these ingredients are legal, but clearly this is no longer the natural structure of cheese. It doesn't stop there. The product also contains artificial flavor and color without specifying details. That means consumers don't know exactly what type of flavoring they're ingesting. When a food requires added flavor to taste more like cheese, it's often a sign that the base ingredient lacks depth. What's notable is that the calorie count isn't significantly lower than real cheese. Each serving contains roughly the same number of calories, or only slightly fewer, compared to a block of traditional cheddar. 4. Priano frozen cheese ravioli. Don't let the Italian-sounding name of Priano frozen cheese ravioli give you a false sense of reassurance. When you turn the package over and read the ingredient list, what you find doesn't resemble traditional pasta. The filling is advertised as cheese, but if you look closely, water and modified cornstarch appear prominently. That means the filling has been diluted and thickened with industrial starch. Modified starch doesn't offer meaningful nutritional value, yet it can contribute to a faster spike in blood sugar after a meal. They even add sugar to the cheese filling, something that would be considered unacceptable in traditional Italian cooking. Authentic cheese ravioli typically contains fresh ricotta, a bit of parmesan, eggs, and simple seasonings. When sugar is used to fix the flavor, it's often a sign that the base ingredients lack quality. You're getting a serving with 270 calories, but the protein content is unimpressive, while refined carbohydrates make up a significant portion. Compared to eating a modest serving of real cheese or high-quality fresh pasta, this option delivers more empty calories than meaningful nutrition. Like the video if this surprised you. 3. Laughing cow cheese wedges. This is a cheese many people associate with childhood, but from a modern consumer news perspective, it's a highly processed product. Laughing cow cheese wedges look small and convenient and are marketed as a light option. However, a closer look at the ingredient list tells a different story. To achieve that nearly perfect smooth texture, manufacturers use calcium phosphate and sodium citrate, two emulsifiers that help the cheese melt evenly and maintain a uniform structure. Technically, they're approved for use, but this is no longer the natural structure of traditionally aged cheese, where proteins and fats bind together naturally through fermentation. The product is also ultra-pasteurized to increase stability and extend shelf life. While this improves microbial safety, It also reduces the presence of beneficial bacteria naturally found in real cheese. That means you're not getting the probiotic benefits you would from traditionally aged varieties. Many consumer forum reviews mention that one wedge doesn't feel satisfying, leading people to eat two or three, roughly 150 calories. In contrast, 1 ounce of aged cheddar contains about 110 to 120 calories, delivers 6 to 7 grams of protein, and provides a more noticeable sense of fullness. 2. Cheese sauce, bottled or canned. This may be the product furthest removed from the true definition of cheese on this list. Bottled or canned nacho/cheddar cheese sauce. If you read the ingredient label carefully, you'll notice that real cheese plays only a supporting role. The primary ingredients are water and soybean oil, typically a low-cost refined oil high in omega-6 fatty acids. Industrial soybean oil contains a high ratio of omega-6. When consumed in excess relative to omega-3, it may contribute to inflammatory responses in the body. Meanwhile, to create a thick texture, manufacturers use modified cornstarch and other thickening agents. Instead of natural dairy fat, you're essentially consuming a blend of vegetable oil and refined starch. The coloring agents are where controversy intensifies. These products often contain yellow 5 and yellow 6, two synthetic dyes. In the European Union, foods containing these additives must carry a warning label stating they may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. In the US, they are still permitted, but many health organizations recommend limiting them, especially for children who may be sensitive. A 2 tablespoon serving may contain only about 45 calories, which sounds light. However, a typical serving of nachos often includes 6 to 8 tablespoons, totaling 180 to 240 calories, primarily from oil and starch. The protein content is nearly negligible. 1. American cheese singles. This is arguably the most controversial product on the list, to the point that US law doesn't even allow it to be labeled simply as cheese. We're talking about Happy Farm's American cheese singles. Under FDA regulations, if a product does not meet the compositional standards of natural cheese and contains a lower percentage of real cheese than required, manufacturers must label it as pasteurized prepared cheese product. That's not just a wording detail, it's a clear legal classification. When you examine the ingredient list, it's noticeably longer than that of traditional cheese. In addition to milk and whey, you'll find sodium citrate, calcium phosphate, artificial colors, and various emulsifiers. These additives create the uniform square shape, smooth melt, and extended shelf stability. The biggest concern is sodium content. One slice of processed American cheese can contain approximately 300 to 350 milligrams of sodium, while 1 ounce of natural cheddar typically ranges from 170 to 180 milligrams. On an equivalent serving basis, the salt content can be nearly double, even triple, depending on the brand. For children or individuals managing blood pressure, that's not a trivial number. Instead of fearing the word cream, look at the short ingredient list: milk, cream, salt, and cultures. Simple, transparent, and free from complicated additives. This is the real salt bomb, hidden inside what seems like an innocent sandwich. At this point, you might be looking at your refrigerator with some concern. But don't turn away from the cheese aisle just yet. Not everything at Aldi is problematic. Right next to these highly processed products are options that truly deliver value and support better health. And among the next 5 names, there's one that even outperforms many premium-priced brands. Recommended cheeses you should eat. 5. Specially selected triple cream brie. When you hear triple cream and 60% butterfat, your first reaction might be concern about fat content. But in reality, this can be one of the smartest choices. Triple cream. Brie contains more fat than traditional brie because additional cream is incorporated during production. That higher fat content actually plays an important role in triggering satiety signals. When you eat a small serving, about 1 ounce, your body receives enough fat to create a clear sense of satisfaction, rather than sending you back to the pantry for more snacks. The natural fermentation process also means brie contains beneficial bacteria. The cultures involved in aging not only create the signature white rind, but also contribute to supporting a healthy gut microbiome. A balanced digestive system is foundational for weight management and reducing inflammation. Another noteworthy point is its CLA, conjugated linoleic acid content. CLA is a fatty acid naturally found in dairy products, particularly in higher quality cheeses. Several studies suggest CLA may be associated with supporting body fat reduction and improving lipid metabolism. At roughly 110 to 120 calories per ounce, it's comparable to many other cheeses. The difference lies in satiety. Because of its rich fat content and smooth texture, you naturally eat it more slowly and feel satisfied sooner. That's the key advantage: higher fat but better portion control. Instead of being afraid of the word cream, take a closer look at the short ingredient list: milk, cream, salt, and cultures. Simple, transparent, and free from unnecessary additives. 4. Specially selected aged reserve white cheddar. This is an excellent option for those who once thought they had to give up cheese due to lactose intolerance. Aged reserve white cheddar. When cheddar is aged for more than 12 months, the natural bacteria involved in fermentation essentially digest most of the lactose. That means this type of cheese contains very little lactose compared to fresh cheese. Many people who are mildly sensitive to dairy can tolerate aged cheddar without the discomfort they experience from milk or younger cheeses. The aging process also creates tiny crunchy crystals inside the cheese. These are not defects. They're signs of properly aged cheese. The crystals are primarily calcium lactate and crystallized amino acids, indicating that the proteins have partially broken down, making them easier for the body to digest and absorb. Aged cheddar is also rich in vitamin K2, a nutrient that plays a critical role in directing calcium into bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in blood vessels. Combined with calcium and high-quality protein, it supports both bone health and cardiovascular health. In terms of flavor, this cheddar is sharper and more complex than younger varieties. That intensity naturally encourages portion control, as a smaller amount delivers a stronger, more satisfying taste. The aging process doesn't just enhance flavor, it also improves nutritional value. With lower lactose, more easily digestible protein, higher levels of vitamin K2, and better satiety, it's a reliable choice for anyone who wants to enjoy cheese in a smarter way. 3. Goat cheese, Emporium Selection. A choice highly rated by many nutrition experts. Goat cheese from Emporium Selection. For those who often feel bloated after eating cow's milk cheese, this is almost like white gold for the digestive system. The first key difference lies in its protein structure. Goat's milk primarily contains A2 casein, while many conventional cow's milk products contain A1 casein, a protein that some sensitive individuals may react to. A2 casein breaks down more easily during digestion, helping reduce feelings of heaviness or discomfort after meals. In addition, the fat molecules in goat's milk are smaller than those in cow's milk. This allows digestive enzymes to access and process them more efficiently, supporting better absorption. Many people report that they tolerate goat cheese significantly better, even if they've struggled with traditional dairy in the past. Another advantage is its higher content of MCFA, medium-chain fatty acids. MCFAs are metabolized more quickly into energy rather than being stored long-term as body fat. That's one reason goat cheese is often recommended in diets focused on metabolic flexibility. Goat cheese also naturally contains less lactose than many cow's milk cheeses. When combined with fermentation, the remaining lactose is further reduced, making it more suitable for individuals who are sensitive. 2. Grass-fed Irish cheddar, Emporium Selection. This is another option highly regarded by nutrition professionals for its nutrient density. Grass-fed Irish cheddar from Emporium Selection. Not all cheddar is created equal, and the difference begins with how the cows are raised. When cows graze on natural grass instead of industrial grain feed, the fat composition of their milk changes significantly. Grass-fed cheddar typically contains 50 to 100% more omega-3 fatty acids than cheese from grain-fed cows. At the same time, it contains significantly higher levels of CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, a fatty acid that research has linked to supporting fat loss and reducing inflammation. In addition, grass-fed cheddar is rich in vitamin K2, an essential nutrient that helps direct calcium into bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in arterial walls. The ingredient list is simple and transparent, usually just milk, salt, and cultures, with no complicated additives. Each ounce provides about 7 grams of protein and enough natural fat to create lasting satiety. In terms of flavor, Irish grass-fed cheddar tends to be sharper, slightly richer, and more complex than standard cheddar. That depth of flavor naturally supports portion control. A thin slice is enough to elevate a sandwich or salad without needing a large amount. The most important factor is transparency and sourcing. When you know the milk comes from grass-fed cows and the cheese is made using traditional aging methods, you're choosing a product that's not only flavorful but also grounded in clear nutritional value. It's a reminder that not all dairy fats are created equal. The quality of the source ultimately determines the true value. 1. Full-fat Greek yogurt, Happy Farms. Aldi's most reliable choice is full-fat Greek yogurt from Happy Farms. This isn't just a safe option. It's truly the most versatile superfood in the aisle. Each cup provides approximately 20 to 23 grams of protein, equivalent to about 3 to 4 eggs. That level of protein supports muscle maintenance, increases satiety, and helps stabilize metabolism. In weight management research, higher protein diets consistently show better results for reducing body fat while preserving lean muscle mass. The key difference lies in the word full fat. The natural fat in yogurt is not the enemy. On the contrary, it helps the body absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as A and D and supports more effective calcium absorption. Several observational studies have also suggested that moderate consumption of full-fat dairy is not associated with higher cardiovascular risk, contrary to earlier concerns. In addition, plain Greek yogurt contains billions of live active cultures from the fermentation process. These beneficial bacteria help balance the gut microbiome, support immune function, and reduce inflammation. A healthy digestive system is closely linked to weight control and consistent daily energy levels. The combination of high protein and natural fat creates a biological buffer that slows sugar absorption. That means more stable blood sugar levels and a feeling of fullness that can last 4 to 5 hours. With a simple ingredient list and clearly defined nutritional value, this is one of the most flexible and scientifically supported choices available. Don't let attractive packaging or convenience steer you toward highly processed cheese products. At Aldi, there are still cheeses truly worth your money if you know how to read labels and understand ingredients. Every slice you place in your cart affects not only your taste preferences but also your long-term digestion and metabolism. Choose real cheese. Your body will feel the difference. Which type of cheese currently in your fridge surprised you the most? Do you think Aldi is just a discount grocery store? Behind those neatly arranged shelves and simple packaging is a whole system of insider tactics that longtime shoppers rarely talk about. It's the same store, yet some people save a few $dozen while others cut over $100 from their weekly bill. Let's uncover the secrets only seasoned Aldi shoppers know. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. The 25-cent cart system. One of the things that often confuses first-time shoppers at Aldi is the shopping cart system that requires a 25-cent coin to unlock a cart. For newcomers, it can feel like a small inconvenience. Why should you have to insert money into a cart just to shop for groceries? But people who regularly shop at Aldi know this isn't really about the quarter. It's part of a larger strategy that helps Aldi keep its prices lower than most other supermarkets. The system itself is very simple. You insert a quarter into the lock to release a cart. When you return the cart to the designated area, the coin pops back out and you get your quarter back. It may seem like a small detail, but it allows Aldi to eliminate a major cost that traditional supermarkets still carry: paying employees to collect carts from the parking lot. According to analyses from several retail experts, large supermarket chains in the United States spend thousands of labor hours each year at every store just managing and retrieving shopping carts. Aldi removes that expense entirely and passes the savings directly back to customers through lower prices. The quarter system also creates an unspoken agreement between shoppers and the store. Because everyone wants to get their coin back, most customers naturally return their carts to the proper spot. As a result, Aldi parking lots are often far more organized than those at many other supermarkets, with fewer stray carts rolling around, scratching cars, or taking up parking spaces. Seasoned Aldi shoppers even develop their own small strategies around it. Many people keep a quarter in their car or attached to their keychain so they always have one ready. Some families even turn cart returns into a tiny reward for their kids. Return a few carts each week, and those quarters can easily add up to enough for a small snack after the grocery trip. The best time to shop Wednesday. If you ask people who have been shopping at Aldi for years when the best time to go is, many of them will answer immediately, Wednesday morning. It may sound simple, but for shoppers who understand how Aldi operates, this is almost a golden rule that helps them consistently find the best products at the best prices. The reason lies in Aldi's promotion cycle. Unlike many supermarket chains that update discounts over the weekend, Aldi starts a new promotion cycle on Wednesday and runs it through the following Tuesday. That means all the new deals, updated price tags, and fresh Aldi finds typically appear on Wednesday mornings. If you visit the store at that time, you're often among the first shoppers to see items that have just been placed on the shelves. Longtime shoppers often say the difference between Wednesday and the weekend is very noticeable. One US blogger who shares budget shopping tips once wrote that after she switched her Aldi trip to Wednesday mornings before work, she was almost always able to find every product featured in the weekly deals. But when she returned to the store on Sunday afternoon, many shelves were already picked over, especially the items with the biggest discounts. This timing matters even more for Aldi finds. Limited time products that are only available for a short period. Popular items that go viral on TikTok or Instagram, such as mini air fryers, seasonal decor, or budget-friendly home goods, can sell out within just a day or two. Many retail employees have also confirmed that certain viral products can disappear from shelves before the promotional week even ends. In addition, Wednesday is often a major restocking day for many Aldi stores. After delivery trucks arrive earlier in the week, employees reorganize and refill the sections for produce, meat, and other fresh foods. That means Wednesday morning gives you the best chance to pick from the newest batches. So if you've ever visited Aldi on the weekend and noticed many shelves already looking picked over, it's not because the store is running out of stock. In most cases, you're simply arriving after shoppers who have known this secret for a long time. Going to Aldi on Wednesday morning almost always leads to the best shopping experience. The twice-as-nice return policy. One of the reasons many long-time Aldi shoppers feel comfortable trying almost any new product is the store's twice-as-nice guarantee. At first glance, some people assume it's just a marketing slogan. But once you understand how it actually works, it becomes clear that this is one of the most generous return policies in the grocery retail industry. The principle behind the program is very simple. If you are not satisfied with a product under an Aldi store brand, you can receive a refund and also get a replacement product of the same item. In other words, you get your money back and another product to try at the same time. That's exactly why it's called twice as nice. It offers customers double reassurance. What surprises many people is how widely this policy applies. It covers a large range of products, including produce, meat, frozen foods, and many packaged food items under Aldi's private label brands. Many Aldi shopping communities in the United States often share real experiences that show just how flexible this policy can be. Some shoppers have said they returned food items that spoiled earlier than expected, and the store handled the return almost immediately without any hassle. This policy is also a major reason why experienced Aldi shoppers are willing to experiment with new products. In reality, Aldi frequently introduces new items, especially within the Aldi Finds section or seasonal food lines. Without this kind of guarantee, many customers might hesitate to try products they've never purchased before. For people who regularly shop at Aldi, the twice-as-nice guarantee is more than just a return policy. It acts as a layer of protection that allows shoppers to confidently explore new products without worrying about wasting their money. The pattern behind Aldi Finds. Many people think Aldi Finds are simply random items that appear unexpectedly each week. You walk into the store and suddenly see a mini coffee maker, a gardening tool set, or even an inflatable kayak. Then the next week, they're gone. But for longtime shoppers, Aldi Finds are far from random. In fact, They tend to follow clear seasonal patterns and timing throughout the year. Aldi finds are essentially limited-time products that usually appear for a short period and in relatively small quantities. According to data from Aldi's own weekly ads, the store introduces dozens of special items to shelves every week. These can range from home goods and kitchen tools to fitness equipment and imported foods. Interestingly, many of these items return around the same time each year. Experienced shoppers often begin to recognize these patterns after following Aldi for a few years. For example, fitness-related products, such as dumbbells, yoga mats, or home workout equipment, tend to appear heavily in January when many people start new health goals for the year. Meanwhile, gardening supplies, plant pots, and outdoor tools usually show up in large numbers during the spring, just as the weather begins to warm up. Because of this, seasoned Aldi shoppers can often predict when a product they like is likely to return. On many forums such as Reddit or Facebook groups dedicated to sharing Aldi deals, some shoppers even create monthly tracking lists for Aldi finds. They record when a product appears, the price, and how quickly it sells out. After a few years, these notes reveal very clear repeating cycles. Instead of rushing to buy something the moment they see it, experienced shoppers often plan ahead. If they know a certain item typically returns in the fall, they simply wait for that season to come around again and buy it at the best price. Simple packaging but high-quality products. One of the things that makes many first-time shoppers at Aldi a little skeptical is how simple the product packaging looks. There are no flashy advertising slogans, and some packages even use very basic colors. For many people, this can create the impression that the product inside might be cheap and low quality. But longtime Aldi shoppers know that the reality is often the exact opposite. The truth is that Aldi intentionally keeps its packaging minimal to reduce marketing and design costs. According to many analyses within the U.S. grocery retail industry, expenses related to advertising, packaging design, and marketing can make up a significant portion of a product's final retail price for major brands. Aldi takes a completely different approach. Most of the products in the store are private label items, meaning Aldi builds its own brands instead of relying heavily on national brands. This allows the company to control production costs and keep packaging simple. According to reports from several retail organizations, more than 80 to 90% of the products sold at Aldi are private label, a much higher percentage than what you typically see at traditional supermarkets. Interestingly, some people within the food industry have revealed that certain Aldi private label products are produced in the same factories as well-known national brands. Experienced shoppers sometimes even compare ingredient lists and nutrition labels to find similarities between the products. Consumer magazines such as Consumer Reports have also conducted multiple taste tests comparing Aldi's private label items with national brands. In many cases, products like chocolate, olive oil, and snack foods from Aldi have been rated just as good as, or even better than, more expensive brand name options. Because of this, longtime shoppers often pay far less attention to the appearance of the packaging. Instead, they focus on the ingredient list, the product's origin, and the real value it offers. And this is one of Aldi's biggest secrets. You're not paying for advertising, you're paying for the product inside. Like the video if this surprised you. The middle aisle, where the biggest deals hide. If you've ever walked into an Aldi and noticed a section in the middle of the store filled with a mix of items, from air fryers and gardening tools to winter jackets, that's what the Aldi shopping community often jokingly calls the middle aisle, or sometimes even the aisle of shame. But behind that humorous nickname is actually one of the best places in the entire store to find major deals. Unlike the regular grocery shelves, the middle aisle mainly features Aldi finds. What makes this area special is the way Aldi sources these products. According to many retail industry analyses, Aldi often purchases close-out merchandise, excess inventory, or specially produced batches from suppliers at extremely low prices. The store can then sell these items for significantly less than typical retail prices. Because of this strategy, it's not unusual to see products here with price tags that genuinely surprise shoppers. Over the years, household appliances such as stand mixers, electric pressure cookers, and coffee machines from Aldi's in-house brands like Ambiano or Crofton have often been sold for only a fraction of the price of similar products from major brands. On consumer forums in the United States, Many shoppers have shared stories about buying kitchen equipment at Aldi for just one-third or even one-quarter of the price of comparable items at other stores. Some deal-hunting bloggers in the US even joke about the experience. You walk into Aldi planning to buy milk and eggs, but somehow you leave with a pizza oven or a full gardening tool set. Another important detail is that the quantities in this section are usually very limited. Once an item sells out, Aldi rarely restocks it during that same week. This creates a kind of treasure hunt atmosphere, which is why many shoppers head straight to the middle aisle as soon as they walk into the store. Pricing scan errors can sometimes mean a free item. One surprising detail that many experienced Aldi shoppers always pay attention to is that pricing scan errors at checkout can sometimes result in a free product. It may sound hard to believe, but this is actually part of the price accuracy policies used by many retail chains, including Aldi. The rule is quite simple. If a product shows one price on the shelf but scans at a higher price at the register, the store must follow its customer protection policy. At many Aldi stores in the United States, if an employee confirms that the shelf price is indeed lower than the scanned price, the product may be refunded or sometimes even given for free, depending on local store policies. Experienced shoppers often follow a very simple but effective habit. They watch the screen while each item is scanned at checkout. This allows them to immediately notice any difference between the shelf price and the price charged at the register. According to many shoppers in U.S. deal-hunting communities, these pricing errors are most likely to occur on the first day of a new promotion cycle, especially after Aldi updates price tags in the middle of the week. When staff confirm that the shelf price is lower, the store must correct the price to protect the customer. The key point here isn't trying to hunt for pricing mistakes, but understanding that Aldi has clear policies to ensure price transparency. By simply paying a bit more attention to shelf labels and the checkout screen, shoppers can avoid overpaying and occasionally receive an unexpected benefit. Bring your own bags when shopping. Another thing that surprises many first-time Aldi shoppers is that the store rarely provides free bags. If you forget to bring your own, you'll have to purchase paper bags or reusable bags at the checkout. For newcomers, this may feel like a small inconvenience, but for shoppers who are used to Aldi, bringing your own bags actually becomes a major advantage. In reality, this is part of Aldi's broader cost-cutting strategy. According to many analyses in the retail industry, plastic and paper bags at large U.S. supermarkets can cost tens of thousands of dollars per store each year. By eliminating free bags, Aldi reduces operating expenses and keeps product prices lower. This is also why Aldi became one of the earlier supermarket chains in the U.S. to adopt the bring-your-own-bag model. But experienced shoppers don't just bring any bag. They bring the right kind. Many people carry insulated bags to keep meat, milk, and frozen foods cold during the trip home. Some shoppers even keep small plastic bins in the trunk of their car to hold heavier items such as bottled water, milk, or canned goods. This method makes it much easier to carry everything into the house. Another advantage of bringing your own bags is that you have complete control over how your groceries are packed. At many other supermarkets, employees bag the items for you, but sometimes bread gets squished, eggs end up under heavier products, or cold items are packed together with dry goods. At Aldi, after checkout, customers bag their groceries themselves at a designated packing counter. Many longtime shoppers also say they've been using the same set of reusable bags for years. Not only does this save money over time, but it also significantly reduces the amount of single-use plastic bags being used. Shelf placement often reveals the price. There's a small detail in the way Aldi organizes its shelves that many shoppers overlook, but longtime customers tend to notice quickly. The position of a product on the shelf often hints at its price level. If you only focus on the items placed right at eye level, you might be missing a cheaper option sitting just above or below. In the retail industry, this idea has long been summed up by the familiar phrase, eye level is buy level. In other words, products placed at eye level are usually the ones stores most want shoppers to notice. Many supermarkets even charge major brands a fee to secure these highly visible shelf spots. Aldi doesn't sell shelf placement in the same way, but the store still follows a clear shelving strategy that subtly guides customer choices. Experienced shoppers often recognize a familiar pattern. Mid-range products, those with moderate prices and strong sales, are usually placed at eye level. Meanwhile, The lowest priced options are often located on the lower shelves, where fewer people naturally look. Many shoppers say that when they take a moment to look down more carefully, they often find a similar product at a noticeably lower price, sometimes simply because the packaging is more basic. By contrast, the top shelves are often where Aldi places its more premium items, such as imported products or items from the store's specially selected line. These products may cost a little more, but they are still often cheaper than comparable premium items at many other supermarkets. Retail experts also point out that this vertical shelf arrangement helps stores guide shopping behavior very effectively. Most shoppers tend to grab the product directly in front of them without scanning the entire shelf. But people who are familiar with shopping at Aldi often develop a different habit. They look at all three shelf levels before making a decision. Customers are part of Aldi's system. There's a surprising truth that many people only realize after shopping at Aldi for a while. Aldi doesn't operate like a traditional supermarket. In this store, customers aren't just buyers, they actually become part of the store's operating model. Think about the familiar things you see at Aldi. You insert a quarter to unlock a shopping cart, you bring your own bags, and after checkout, you bag your own groceries. For many first-time shoppers, this might feel like the store is offering less service. But in reality, this is exactly how Aldi keeps its prices low. According to many retail industry analyses, a traditional U.S. supermarket may carry 30,000 to 40,000 different products, requiring a large staff to manage shelves, collect carts, bag groceries, and assist customers. Aldi, by comparison, typically sells only about 1,300 to 1,500 carefully selected products, allowing stores to operate with fewer employees and significantly lower operating costs. Because of this, many retail experts describe Aldi's model as an unspoken partnership between the store and its customers. Shoppers handle a few small tasks, returning carts, bringing their own bags, or bagging their groceries. In return, Aldi reduces operating expenses and passes those savings directly into lower prices. A report from Business Insider once pointed out that this minimalist approach is one of the main reasons Aldi's prices are often noticeably lower than those at many traditional supermarkets. By eliminating unnecessary costs, such as large marketing budgets, elaborate product displays, and extra services, the store can focus on what matters most, keeping product prices as low as possible. That's also why many loyal Aldi customers often say that when you walk into this store, you're not just shopping. You're participating in a smart system where both the store and the customers work together to keep prices low. After learning these secrets, your trips to Aldi may never feel the same again. You'll know which day to shop, which shelves to check, and which section to visit first so you don't miss the real deals. And sometimes, simply paying a little more attention can help you save far more than you expect. The next time you walk into Aldi, try putting these tips into practice. You might leave the store with a fuller cart but a lower total on your receipt. Which Aldi secret in this video surprised you the most? Before deciding whether Aldi is cheap or not, there's one thing that needs to be clear. Aldi won't save you money if you buy the wrong items. Many people walk into Aldi expecting everything to be cheap, then leave disappointed when some prices don't look very different from a regular supermarket. At the same time, there are shoppers who go to Aldi every week and cut their spending noticeably, simply because they know which categories to buy. This isn't a general overview or advertising. It goes straight to specific items that genuinely help you save at Aldi, and the ones you should think twice about before putting in your cart. If you want to spend less without sacrificing everyday quality, this is the part you shouldn't skip. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Prepackaged greens. Prepackaged greens are one of the categories that change how many people see Aldi. At first glance, these products are easy to doubt. Pre-cut, bagged greens at low prices? Are they really fresh? But for regular shoppers, this category often turns out to be one of the most practical and easy-to-use options during the week. The most noticeable advantage is stable pricing that's lower than the general market. Salad mixes, spinach, kale, and pre-cut lettuce at Aldi are usually cheaper than at traditional supermarkets, while the quality is perfectly acceptable for everyday meals. The greens may not look display perfect for long periods, but they're fresh enough to use within the first few days. The biggest value of prepackaged greens is convenience. After a busy day, opening a bag of greens, tossing a quick salad, or adding them straight to a pan makes dinner come together much faster. For families cooking during the work week, this convenience helps maintain the habit of eating vegetables regularly instead of skipping them due to prep time. That said, prepackaged greens aren't meant for long-term storage. Their shelf life is short, and once opened, they can wilt or yellow if left too long. Efficient shoppers usually use them within the first 1 or 2 meals or plan meals in advance to avoid waste. When used at the right pace, both the price advantage and convenience really pay off. 2. Everyday cheese and specialty cheese. Cheese at Aldi often surprises people in a very practical way. Everyday cheese is inexpensive and works well, while specialty cheese often exceeds expectations for the price. Not every option is outstanding, but if you choose the right category, the value is noticeably better than at traditional supermarkets. For everyday cheese, the strength lies in reliability. Common staples like sliced cheese for sandwiches, block cheese for shredding, or shredded cheese for baking have familiar flavors. Not too salty, not too bland. They don't try to feel special, but they do their job well in family meals. The lower price compared to major brands makes them easier to use freely without hesitation every time you open the fridge. This is the category that works best for frequent purchases, quick use, and simple expectations. Specialty cheese is a different story. Aldi carries fewer options but focuses on selections with clear character, seasonal imported cheeses, soft cheeses for cheese boards, or more boldly flavored blocks for weekend meals. The price stays reasonable, but the eating experience feels noticeably more elevated for the money. This is especially appealing for people who want variety without paying specialty store prices. 3. Yogurt. Yogurt and other yogurt options at Aldi are easy to use but also easy to buy incorrectly if you don't pay attention to your own eating habits. One of Aldi's strengths is keeping the selection limited, rather than overwhelming shoppers with too many brands to compare. That makes choosing yogurt for breakfast or weekday snacks quicker and more straightforward. For regular yogurt, the overall experience is simple and approachable. The flavor isn't too sharp and isn't overly sweet. Basic cups paired with fruit or cereal work well for breakfast, especially for families with kids or for people who don't like strong flavors. The low price makes it easy to buy week after week without feeling budget pressure, which is why many shoppers stick with this category long-term. Greek yogurt serves a different purpose. It has a thicker texture, a more noticeable tang, and keeps you full longer, making it a good option for quick breakfasts or higher protein needs. At Aldi, Greek yogurt doesn't try to position itself as premium, but it's good enough for everyday use and works well with honey or fruit. At a reasonable price, it's a practical choice for anyone looking to eat healthier without paying extra for a brand name. 4. Butter. If you pay close attention, butter is actually one of the quiet moneymakers in the shopping cart, especially for families that cook often, bake regularly, or simply enjoy bread and butter for breakfast. What makes Aldi butter worth talking about isn't just that it's a few cents cheaper. The real difference shows up in how often it appears on your receipt. A slightly lower price may not stand out at checkout, but when you buy it every week and use it month after month, the savings become noticeable. For households that bake a lot, cookies, pancakes, pastries, or use butter instead of oil for cooking, that difference adds up quickly. There's no sense of quality trade-off. The butter melts evenly, has a familiar flavor, and isn't bland or overly sharp. In the pan, it melts smoothly without excessive water splatter. In baking, it performs consistently and doesn't ruin a batch of dough. This is butter doing exactly what it's meant to do, supporting everyday meals, quietly reliable without any flash. One thing many people overlook is how easy butter is to store. When Aldi's butter price drops, you can easily buy a few extra packs and freeze them. Frozen butter still works well for cooking and baking, and this lets you lock in a lower price while prices elsewhere continue to rise. You don't need to stockpile aggressively. Just a bit of planning makes a real difference. 5. Bread. Bread is something that's almost always in the kitchen, yet it's rarely thought through carefully when buying. Many people grab the same familiar loaf, the same brand they've eaten for years, and move on. It's only when they add up their monthly expenses that they realize bread, a very basic item, shows up far more often than expected. And this is where Aldi bread makes a difference. The most obvious factor is price. A loaf of bread at Aldi is usually a bit cheaper than at many other supermarkets. It doesn't sound like much, but for families buying bread several times a week, that difference adds up quickly. Saving 40–50 cents per loaf may not stand out at checkout, but over a few months, it starts to matter. Another strong point is variety. Aldi doesn't just offer basic white or whole wheat bread. You can find soft brioche, bagels, and English muffins for breakfast, and even gluten-free options. Many people are skeptical about gluten-free bread being dry or hard to eat, but real-world feedback has been fairly positive, especially for those who have to avoid gluten but still want something enjoyable. Quality is also why Aldi bread tends to be a repeat purchase. It's not overly dry or overly sweet, and it works well for sandwiches or toast. For everyday bread, consistency matters more than surprise. You want a loaf that tastes fine today, still makes good toast tomorrow, and doesn't force you to rush through it before it goes stale. Like this video if this surprised you. 6. Milk. Milk is something many families buy out of habit rather than conscious choice. At the store, you often reach for the same familiar brand, put it in the cart, and move on without checking the price. But if you pause and compare, milk and dairy products are quietly one of the categories that drive weekly household costs up, especially for families with kids or anyone who drinks milk daily. What makes Aldi milk easy for many people to switch to is its simplicity. There's no flashy packaging or heavy advertising, but the quality is very close to the major brands people are used to. The taste is easy to drink, with no noticeable difference for most households. More importantly, there's a sense of reliability when using it long-term. Paying less for essentially the same experience is a meaningful consideration for families that buy milk regularly. Beyond fresh milk, dairy products like butter, cheese, and yogurt are also strong categories at Aldi. You're not just buying basics for everyday meals, but also options for breakfast, snacks, and baking. Yogurt comes in a wide range, from traditional to thick styles, low sugar, and organic, suitable for both adults and kids. The affordable pricing makes it easier to try different options instead of hesitating every time you want to change things up. One point that doesn't get mentioned often is consistency. Once you find a milk or cheese you like at Aldi, chances are the next purchase will be the same. No feeling of sometimes good, sometimes not. For products you use all the time, that kind of reliability matters just as much as saving money. 7. Jasmine rice and dry goods. Jasmine rice and other dry goods rarely feel exciting when you're grocery shopping. They sit quietly on the shelf with simple packaging and don't really catch your eye. Because of that, many people skip comparing them, even though this category plays a major role in how self-sufficient a kitchen actually is. When you have rice, pasta, dry beans, or basic canned goods at home, you avoid a lot of expensive last-minute meals or takeout. Jasmine rice at Aldi is a good example. The grains are long and lightly fragrant, and when cooked, the rice is fluffy and easy to eat. It works well for everything from plain rice and fried rice to pairing with savory dishes. One practical advantage is that it's sold in larger bags with resealable closures, which help keep it fresh longer without worrying about moisture or pests. The price per pound is slightly lower than at many other stores, and because rice is used year-round, that small difference adds up quickly. Dry goods offer similar benefits. Pasta, beans, cereal, flour, and dried seasonings all have long shelf lives, don't need to be bought urgently, and are easy to store. When you buy them at a good price, you're essentially prepaying for peace of mind on busy days. With rice and dry staples in the pantry, cooking becomes far more flexible. You no longer open the fridge and sigh because there's nothing to make for dinner. 8. Gluten-free products. For many people, gluten-free products used to feel like a last resort. You only looked for them if you had to avoid gluten, already expecting higher prices, fewer choices, and flavors that were hard to enjoy. Because of that, many shoppers approach the gluten-free section cautiously, buy what's necessary, and move on. But when you take a closer look, that mindset is starting to shift. What stands out about Aldi's gluten-free products is that they feel designed for everyday eating, not just to fill a shelf. Gluten-free bread, bagels, and baked goods don't come across as dry or just edible. The texture is solid, they're easy to eat, and, most importantly, they're familiar enough that you don't feel like you're sacrificing your usual eating habits because of dietary restrictions. Price is another pleasant surprise. Instead of the steep premiums seen at many supermarkets, Aldi's gluten-free items are generally priced at a more reasonable level. For households where gluten-free eating is a long-term necessity, this difference really matters. You might not notice it on a single purchase, but when these items become weekly or monthly staples, the savings start to feel real. Another strong advantage is consistency. Once you find a gluten-free bread or product at Aldi that works for you, you can confidently buy it again without worrying that the next batch will be different. This reliability is especially important for people with special dietary needs, where even small changes in texture or ingredients can be frustrating. 9. Pure vanilla extract. Pure vanilla extract is one of those ingredients people hesitate over the most when standing in the baking aisle. Everyone knows it tastes better, smells better, and is cleaner than artificial vanilla, but the price often makes shoppers pause. As a result, many households settle for a temporary compromise, buying the cheaper option, using it up, and telling themselves, it probably doesn't make much of a difference anyway. It's only when you taste a baked good made with real vanilla that the difference becomes obvious. What makes Aldi's pure vanilla extract worth noting is that it turns this choice into a more reasonable one. It no longer feels like you're paying for a luxury, but for a proper ingredient. Just a few drops release a clear, natural aroma. No harshness, no artificial note. And there's no need to use extra to compensate, as with imitation vanilla. For people who bake or make desserts regularly, the difference shows up from the very first batch. Another important point is how long vanilla lasts. A small bottle can carry you through dozens of bakes, cups of coffee, batches of whipped cream, or bowls of yogurt. When you look at it that way, the upfront price doesn't feel nearly as heavy. Instead of going through multiple cheap bottles quickly, one bottle of pure vanilla extract often feels more economical over time. 10. Heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream is something many people only think about when they're baking or making a special dessert. Most of the time, it gets passed over in favor of ready-made options like spray whipped cream or packaged toppings. But when you take a closer look, heavy whipping cream is actually one of the most valuable ingredients you can keep in your kitchen, especially if you enjoy simple cooking but still want dishes to feel rich and complete. The biggest advantage of heavy whipping cream is its versatility. From a single carton, you can whip it into fresh whipped cream, cook sauces for savory dishes, add richness to soups, or pour it into coffee for a natural creaminess. Compared to pre-made products, heavy cream gives you full control over sweetness, richness, and flavor. You decide how much to use, rather than being locked into a manufacturer's formula. At Aldi, the price of heavy whipping cream often surprises people. It's not more expensive than convenience options, and at times it's even cheaper. This changes how many families think about baking at home. Instead of seeing baking as costly, they begin to realize that just a few basic ingredients are enough to create desserts that are tasty, clean, and budget-friendly. 11. Basic condiments. Ketchup and mustard are almost always in the fridge, yet they're rarely part of any real spending calculation. They show up in everyday meals, from rushed breakfasts with bread to quick dinners with hot dogs or fries. Because they're so familiar, many people assume one brand is just as good as another, as long as it's the name they're used to buying. That habit leads to small, repeat purchases that quietly add up without anyone really noticing. Aldi's ketchup surprises a lot of people because of how straightforward it is. It's not overly sweet, doesn't have a harsh smell, and, most importantly, you don't have to use much to taste it. For families with kids, the lower sweetness also helps meals feel less like eating sugar, while still being easy to enjoy. Mustard follows the same idea. It's a condiment that doesn't leave much room for debate. Most people just want it to taste right. Aldi's mustard delivers on that. Lightly tangy, moderately sharp, and not watery or bland. It works well on sandwiches, sausages, or mixed into simple sauces. The biggest advantage is the price. Condiments aren't bought often, but when you do buy them, they last a long time. When the price is lower, you're saving money without having to change how you eat or cook at all. 12. Disposable household items. Disposable household items are a product category that rarely gets much attention, yet they show up in almost every shopping trip. Trash bags, zip-top bags, aluminum foil, plastic wrap. None of these are exciting purchases, but the moment you run out, daily life at home quickly becomes inconvenient. Because they're so familiar, many people buy them without thinking much, rarely comparing options or paying close attention to how much they're spending on these small but constantly used items. What stands out is that Aldi's disposable items usually do exactly what they're supposed to. No more, no less. The trash bags are thick enough that you don't have to worry about sudden tears. Zip-top bags seal well and work just fine for storing food or miscellaneous items. Aluminum foil and plastic wrap aren't overly thin and don't stick to your hands in an annoying way during use. You don't need big-name brands for these products because their purpose is straightforward and well-defined. Price is what makes the long-term difference. Each item may only be a little cheaper, but because you buy them over and over again, the savings add up over time. This is the kind of spending you don't really notice in a single trip, but after a few months, you'll realize you've been spending less on things that don't offer much emotional value anyway. The items that truly save you money aren't always the ones with the biggest discounts or the flashiest shelf displays. More often, they're the everyday staples you buy over and over each week: butter, bread, milk, rice, and spices. When you choose well in these categories, your money doesn't disappear as quickly, while your meals stay just as familiar. This kind of saving doesn't feel like cutting back. It's simply spending more intentionally. And over time, it's these ordinary choices that make the biggest difference in a household budget. Which tip from the video surprised you the most? A wave of exclusive must-have finds and a fresh spring collection of home essentials have officially hit Aldi shelves. The appeal of these new arrivals is hard to ignore, and they tend to sell out so quickly that showing up late often means missing out. If you're planning a trip to Aldi in the next few days, this list is definitely worth checking out first. You might end up adding a few items to your cart the moment you see them. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Door wreath. This wreath is one of the fastest ways to refresh the entire mood of your space without doing any actual redecorating. The floral tones are fresh but not overly bright, making it easy on the eyes and versatile across different styles. At $19.99, you're essentially bringing a touch of spring right to your front door. 2. Glass jar floral candles. These glass jar candles create a naturally relaxing atmosphere. Within just a few minutes of lighting one, you'll notice the difference. At $5.99, it delivers an experience similar to much higher-end brands, making it an easy pick to try. But popular scents like lilac or gardenia tend to sell out quickly, so don't wait too long to grab them. 3. Mini decorative gnome figures. These mini gnomes stand out immediately with their soft, fresh colors that perfectly match the spring vibe. Each design features different hats, patterns, and expressions, some with floral accents, others with butterflies or pastel stripes, all visually gentle rather than overwhelming. Their compact size makes them easy to place anywhere without cluttering your space. At $4.99, this is one of those items you'll likely want to pick up the moment you see it. 4. Sun catcher decor. Simply place it where sunlight hits, and this sun catcher creates a soft, pleasant light effect without needing anything extra. At $4.99, it's a small decorative piece that still makes a noticeable difference. And the better designs rarely stay on shelves for long. 5. Goldfish crackers. A new version just hit the shelves, and it's surprisingly addictive. This time, Goldfish comes in a convenient 20-pack box priced at $9.75. Perfect for quick, no-thought-needed snacking. The classic cheese flavor is still as easy to enjoy as ever, but the pre-portioned packs help you manage how much you eat more effectively. 6. Ruffles party-size chips. Ruffles is back in a large party-size bag that instantly brings a fun vibe the moment it's opened. This version keeps its signature thick-cut chips with deep ridges, allowing seasoning to stick better and deliver a richer flavor. At $5.94, it's a great snack option for gatherings or casual hangouts. 7. Multi-purpose laundry bags. These small bags are incredibly useful for keeping items organized in the washing machine. You can use them for delicates, underwear, or even shoes to prevent damage and maintain their shape. At $2.49, it's a low-cost item that can save you a significant amount of effort in clothing care over time. 8. Wool dryer balls. Wool dryer balls help clothes dry faster and reduce wrinkles without the need for fabric softener. They can also be reused many times, making them more cost-effective than disposable alternatives in the long run. At $4.99, it's a small change that can noticeably improve your everyday laundry routine. 9. Laundry storage organizer. A simple way to make your laundry area look instantly more organized. This organizer comes with divided compartments, making it easy to store detergent, pods, and smaller items without clutter. The compact design also allows it to be folded away when not in use. At $9.99, it's a small upgrade that makes your space feel much more put together. 10. Laundry basket. A simple item, but one you'll use almost every day. The lightweight, breathable design makes it easy to carry and convenient when gathering laundry or moving between rooms. At $6.99, it's a very reasonable price for something you'll rely on long-term. 11. 3-wick candle. If you prefer a stronger scent in your space, a 3-wick candle is worth trying. The flames spread evenly, and the fragrance fills the room much faster than a standard candle, so you'll notice the effect almost immediately. At $4.99, it's an easy-to-afford option that doubles as decor while adding a relaxing atmosphere to your home. 12. Propel electrolyte water. A noteworthy new option if you're looking for something lighter than soda but still flavorful. Propel offers a refreshing electrolyte drink that isn't overly sweet, making it great for active days. At $13.97 for an 18-pack, it's something you'll want stocked at home for quick grab and